of Scoop. And at this point in time, 228 events are done and dusted. 1.1 million entries across the series. The prize money now exceeding $87 million, with nearly 13 million paid to champions. Well, with more details of who won what on Wednesday, we turn to our Scoop correspondent. He's got the looks, he's got the brains, he's Howard Swains. And Howard, this is the point where you tell us about the latest superstar who's won his 89th Scoop title.
Yeah, not quite that many, but not far off. Mike Watson, Sir Watts on PokerStars. He won the 1K Badoogie last night, and that is his 7th career Scoop title. Only Calvin Anderson has more than that. He now has titles dating from 2015, and they're in single draw, 6+ Hold'em, PLO, PLO 8, and now Badoogie. So he is an absolute boss across all variants.
Any other bosses / overachievers we should know about?
Well, we've been talking about Rinat Liapin a lot this year, and he finished runner-up last night in 2 events, including, incidentally, to Mike Watson. Wow. So he's now got 4 runner-up finishes, plus 2 titles, which means he's been heads up for 6 events this series, which is kind of crazy. And a shout out also to Diplomatic Boy, we know him as. He has now put Andorra on the Scoop leaderboard. That's the first time a player from Andorra has ever won a Scoop event. Possibly not a native Andorran, but he won the Mini Super Tuesday for 91k, and no Brazilians won last night. So for one night only, Andorra outdid Brazil.
Watch out, Montenegro. Andorra is coming for you. With Zappa Zamaki doing well, what does that mean for Player of the Year?
Well, it's changed back again. So Rinat Liapin's gone up to 2nd with those two runner-up positions. But look at that, Jussi Nevenlina's back on top. So he made the final table of the 1K Badoogie and finished 5th. Patrick Leonard bubbled that event. So Nevenlina went back to the top, Alexander slipped down, and Liapin is now knocking on the door. He's only 30 points behind Nevenlina. We're really in a true 4-horse race, I think.
Yeah, and we are now entering the final furlong. Howard, we will catch up with you again on Saturday. Thank you.
Look forward to it. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Okay, 5K high roller, 193 entries, 9 players remain, and here are the chip counts heading into the final table. A player we haven't seen so far, headlining Mario Bonanata with an 82 big blind stack, but plenty of players we have seen already at this final table. The obligatory appearance of Simon C. Darwin 2 Matson. He's pretty short though. David Lacker, Monkey Boss, is in the hyper danger zone. Hyper danger zone! Just 4 big blinds. With 9 players remaining, everyone's locked up nearly $25,000. 6-figure scores for the top 3. More than 200,000 to the eventual winner. And time now for us to say a big hello to Maria Ho. Hello!
Hello!
Hi, friends. Hello there.
So many of the usual suspects in attendance, Maria. Another high roller final table for us to dissect. Time to get cards in the air. And here we go. Blinds 25,000, 50,000, going up in just a couple of minutes' time. And on the first hand of the final table, we've got the Rockets for Dingebrinker.
Come on.
And we've got a disconnect, it looks like.
Oh,
we call it disco now. We try to make it fun. It's like, oh, it's hey, there's a disco. Disco.
We need platform shoes with goldfish in them. We need a giant sparkly ball to descend from the ceiling.
Yeah, we just need the ball to drop down while this happens. Just make it seem a little bit more fun.
Okay, we're getting into the spirit now. Throwing a few fireworks. This is what we need. Look, if we can make chop pots exciting, we can make internet disconnections exciting.
Does anyone think that maybe this was a poor internet service they signed up for? Megabyte Tremendo? Like, that's probably not a very good download speed. You're like, you can have the MB Tremendo for only $4 less per month. And you're like, well, all right, who needs a gigabyte?
Yes,
like,
right.
give me the MB Tremendo.
A single MB of download speed, half an MB of upload speed.
They should have got the MB Ultimo. Go on, Maria.
I was just saying that it would have just been a little more exciting if maybe they had a hand like kings and they were disconnected, and then it just totally worked out.
Wow.
Because Dingebrinker has aces. I actually had that situation where somebody...
that's what happened yesterday to Christian Rudolph. He disconnected, reconnected, and busted.
You got the wrong way around, Joe. It was Limitless who disconnected, and Christian Rudolph was his opponent in the hands. And it was Christian Rudolph who said to everyone, let's just fold, let's slow down the action until Limitless can get back online. He did get back online and promptly busted that hand.
I had a live disconnect scenario where I made it to the final table of a World Series of Poker event, and I went all in with Ace Jack, and Aliim Shurovich showed up late to a final table, and he had queens that hand, and it was at the, it was streamed, so we got to see. Faded,
but he wasn't there.
Laddered up.
Wow.
No, he wasn't up. He wasn't there, but they saw his whole cards.
Right. For a moment, I thought you were going to say that he was allowed to play his hand despite showing up after the deal, and I was going to go, whoa, 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 who let this happen? But that's fine.
Oh, no. I would have protested immediately.
Oh, absolutely.
If that was the case.
Absolutely. So we got Jacks versus Ace-8, and it was MB Tremendo, Mario Bonanata, an older player from Uruguay, who opened with the Ace-8, Dingebrinker with Jacks. And I guess everyone's playing super cagey because we've got Monkey Boss on that ridiculously super short stack. This makes it easier for Dingebrinker, though, rivering the full house.
Yeah, and also another very strong hand rivered by MB Tremendo.
Oh, yeah, the straight.
Yeah, granted, though, because Dingebrinker did just flat from the big blinds, I think that, it does take some of the strongest boats out of Dingebrinker's range. You would probably assume that even with ICM considerations, they would be 3-betting kings, probably queens, but yeah, not going to be able to get away from a straight there because of that.
Calls the river raise, and that's going to see Dingebrinker win a huge pot of more than 2 million, and it's Dingebrinker who now takes the chip lead at this 9-handed final table with 4.8 million. MB Tremendo down to 2.8 million.
I mean, that's a really disgusting cooler, right? You just think you're getting blown off a chop like so often there with like ace-4 or something, right? Just like some weak ace that defended out of the big blind, and you pretty much have to call that, right? There's no like folding that, is there, Maria, considering what you said about, a lot of those full houses just being out?
Yeah, I think it would be tough to fold.
Well, this is a committing raise from Simon Matson. C. Darwin 2 betting half of his remaining chips with 6s. There is the shove from the chip leader, and that allows David Peters to get away from ace-queen, which is the dominating ace here.
D. Peters, David Peters. That's his full name.
Yeah, certainly that you have a very strong hand given, where the opener's from and also Dingebrinker's shove. But, I mean, the fact that Monkey Boss is sitting there with 4 bigs, you can't possibly call this off.
Do you think that David Peters has even sat up from his chair in his tracksuit right now to make this decision? I just picture him like this, just completely laxed right now. Like not just like maybe thinking about this hand.
Oh, 100%. He's max lax.
David Peters, kind of the North American equivalent of Spraggy in terms of his attire.
Yes.
Slightly more accomplished as a poker player.
So happy to see Peters.
You see him taking time to think about that spot, but again, just the fact that Monkey Boss is so short, D. Peters thinks that he's ahead of a lot of the ranges, but yeah.
A lot of cards for Simon Matson to fade on the river, but 6s hold, and that will see C. Darwin get the double up. So we are still 9-handed as we hit the 30,000, 60,000 blind level, and confirmation that we now have 30-minute blinds for the rest of this final table. By the way, here is my favorite hashtag fun fact of the evening, courtesy of the very hard-working Stat Trick. There are 8 Scoop titles at this final table, shared between 2 of the finalists. We've got Omaha for rolls, Laszlo Bushtas, who has 3 scoops, and we have C. Darwin, who has 5. So they have 8 between them. Nobody else is a scoop winner.
I like that ratio. Diddly. Tremendo at least has the opportunity to be on the good end of the cold decking this time.
And we don't give enough love and we don't give enough shout outs to all the people working hard behind the scenes on these productions, but I do want to particularly highlight Stat Trick right now. Don't know whether you know this, Joe. The poor guy had tonsillitis this week and he still put in the hours. He was still a slave to Scoop.
I did know someone had tonsillitis, but I try not to learn their names.
Not a fatal illness.
No, it's just like, you know, if you learn their names, then they think they can make eye contact with you next time they see you. It's just, it's just a dangerous precedent. Oh boy, speaking of danger.
Flush over flush.
Oh, wow. MB Tremendo thinking that, both of them thinking that they could get Dingebrinker to bet it for them. Shocked. I'm shocked. I don't see Dingebrinker going for it. I mean, wow.
What?
Tremendous
What is the
mistake
opposite of
by MB?
Yeah, what is the opposite of that escalated quickly? Like that de-escalated slowly. Like that was...
I mean...
That was incredibly anticlimactic.
One of the most appropriate
I feel like Ray Liotta
uses of throwables I've ever seen at a final table. But secondly, I guess, again, this highlights what happens when you've got someone sat there on, what is it now, 3 big blinds?
I think it was more like a product of greed.
Right.
Yeah, no, I feel like Ray Liotta at the end of Goodfellas, like, where's the money? Where'd you do it? Where's all the money, Karen? Why is there no money in that pot? What'd you do with the money?
I mean, that was... I kind of get Tremendo's check there on the river, but not so much Omaha for rolls. I just don't think Dingebrinker has that many bets on the river as played in a multi-way situation with that type of board against a big blind defending range. And I mean, like, I could go on and on. I don't like that. I'm baffled.
Well, I think we're going to see Monkey Boss committed here with Ace Queen. And is it going to be blind v blind? I think it is. Bert Stevens with Jack 9 of diamonds. Have some poo on your avatar.
And the fish. Got him.
Ace Queen versus Jack 9. Queen high flop at diamonds. And a 9. It's the 9. Trip 9's for Giraffe Ganger, and there is our first elimination. I mean, not being funny, Monkey Boss had an uphill struggle to survive beyond the first orbit. Out in 9th for $24,894, and the super short stack is gone. But we do still have a few players who are in the danger zone.
Danger zone.
That's right, Loco Chapper, P. Viger, and C. Darwin. I'm talking about you guys.
Do not fold your diamonds today, gang. Well, we don't know what to do now that there's
A7, and we get the re-raise from David Peters with King 10 of clubs.
Re-raise revenge over the ace-jack shove.
Right. And sometimes you would see players, you know, flat with a hand like King 10 suited there, but D. Peters recognizing that Dingebrinker will open light a lot as the chip leader.
Bad timing, but opens with Jack 4, Loco Chapper with the Rockets. Hey, bird. All in for just over $1 million, gets the fold. Oh, well, this is an interesting situation. Jacks for former chip leader, MB Tremendo, and C. Darwin, ace queen in the small blind. I think we could be flipping a coin here, Maria.
Yeah, really strong hand for C. Darwin here, despite the fact that, you know, PVI in the big blind is shorter.
So gets it in for 1.2. There's the call with jacks. Ace or a queen needed. Queen on the turn. Oh, but it's the straight on the river. And that is the elimination of C. Darwin 2. Simon Matson will not be winning his 6th scoop tonight. Cashes out for $32,333. And now we are 7-handed. Tremendo back in the #1 position. Chip leader with 4.7 million. And good laddering by P. Viger.
C. Darwin has now seen Darwin.
I don't see C. Darwin lose many flips, so I gotta say that was probably a first for me.
Well, write down the date and time. It may never happen again. As David Peters shoves on Loco Chapa, who opened with King Queen, opening out of a 20 big blind stack.
Yeah, I just don't see King Queen being able to call off with P. Viger short.
Let's it go. Well, Omaha for rolls. Laszlo Bujtas is a player who we saw win his 3rd scoop title earlier this series, took down the 10K 8-max high roller. There's been about 3 of them. Took down one of the 10K 8-max high rollers for $254,000. And opening here with ace-4 suited.
You know, to go back to what I was saying before, maybe they would be more memorable if we did give them names.
Like Ralph?
Yeah,
Macy?
sure.
Gordon? Omaha for rolls,
maybe
one
something...
Gordon for $254,000. Do you know what, Joe? I will definitely put that idea forward. Most of your ideas, I blatantly ignore and say we'll do something with one of these days. This one?
Yeah.
Gonna put it in front of the people who can make things happen.
You know what's really big these days is social justice. You could name them after like really great figures in history, like the Harriet Tubman Thursday Thrill. And we at least know which one it is.
Well, I prefer
Gotta get on board with that. I'm bored with that social justice stuff. Come on.
Well, Dinge Brinker likely to get the action started here. And I guess the question, Maria, is what Loco Chapa does facing a raise with ace-10 in the big.
Yeah, again, you know, Dinge Brinker having opened quite a few hands already at the beginning of this final, Loco will be looking at ace-10 and thinking that that's a pretty decent hand to wake up with off of that stack size. But again, sometimes you just look over at P. Viger and you're like, it's just going to call.
And does not really connect with this board. Instead, it's top pair, top kicker for Dinge Brinker.
And despite Dinge being really active so far at the final, really hasn't been too out of line. I mean, all of their hands that they've opened with has been reasonable and certainly connecting with the board a lot as well.
Well, good situation for P. Viger. Shortest stack at the table. With ace, king, all in. And that's likely to get through.
What do players like C. Darwin and Garaf Ganger and the ones that we're used to seeing at these, what do they do when there's not a big tournament series going? Do they just play like the Hot 44?
I think there are high stakes games going on most of the time. I mean, I think it's different for different people. We know that Bert's got a menagerie to worry about.
Yeah.
Those goats aren't going to groom themselves.
Wait, is menagerie different than menage a trois? Because I was thinking of something a lot different whenever you said Bert has that going on.
They're very different.
Oh.
They're incredibly different. If you combine one with the other, you end up with something completely illegal and utterly disgusting.
Oh, wow. Having none of it.
This guy's all full of pee and Vigar.
Listen, I am not mad at that at all.
And he is no longer the shortest stack at this final table. Loco Chapa is now bottom.
Yeah, you got to make things happen, even as the short stack find ways to maneuver, especially against the chip leader who it could be getting out of line. So might as well take a spot like that and just hope it gets through.
Queen 4 versus 7-5. Blind v blind. Queen high flop. Flush draw for Dingebrinker. We saw Dingebrinker finish second in a scoop earlier this series. It was a 5K 8 max where Dingebrinker was the runner-up for just shy of 122K. Well, Queen 4 still good, and P. Vigar now a 3-1 favorite.
Yeah, Dingebrinker does pick up the gut shot, though, on this turn. So I would think that another bet could be in order. Just a lot of equity. Maybe your opponent's calling with a hand like King High on that flop, and you want to try to fire another barrel just to get them off, but does try to realize that flush draw and straight draw equity.
And P. Vigar now playing a 20 big blind stack.
I feel like we're cruising toward a 5-hour three-handed play setup here.
Might see D. Peters just stick it in P. Vigar's face right now.
I'm so glad you said face.
David Peters, in your face!
And there it is.
And again, Vigar now in the situation that Loco Chapa was in not that long ago.
Would you say this is close to the bottom of D. Peters' shoving range in this situation?
Yeah, absolutely. But definitely 20 bigs effective with one other shorter stack. You got to target the open from the button with a hand like King Queen off.
Well, giving it some thought. I don't know whether this is just to make it look good or whether this is a legitimate decision. Let's it go in the end.
It's probably waiting to see if somebody goes broke on the other table. It's usually what they're doing.
And blind v blind, ace 7, queen 6. So what do we know about Mario Bonanata from Uruguay? Came fourth in a Scoop event 2 years ago. Fifth in a Scoop back in 2016. So it's had some deep runs in major online events. W Coop as well. And has played on the EPT a few years running. Has played on the BSOP circuit as well.
Now that you say what his name is, I think I know what the MB stands for.
Do you think it could possibly be Mario Bonanata?
Yes. Sorry, I was thinking of something else. Yes. Sorry. That's better than what I was thinking.
So he's basically saying, I am tremendous.
Yeah, and he is. I agree. I don't see the lie.
Based on the sample size of 20 minutes of action, we concur, MB, you are tremendo.
Well, I don't know if you've heard, but he's had a fourth place in a Scoop and a fifth, James.
Well, somehow 7-4 flops best here.
Yeah, kind of an interesting situation. Obviously, that's a great turn card. I think one of those cards that Giraffe will likely continue in some fashion again on the turn. But of course, most of the time when you peel with a bottom pair type hand like that, you there's yeah, there's not too many turn cards that you're gonna love, but interesting because obviously if we see a bet out of Giraffe, that would just be turning that pair into a bluff, having that 7 in their hand, but does elect to try to get to showdown.
And now pocket tens for Omaha for rolls. Opens to 120K. And Loco Chopper with small suited connectors in the big blind. Lets it go. Now, is this going to get folded round to Bert Stevens on the button with ace, queen? Yes. Opens to 126K. And I think we might see both blinds fold here. Yep. Raise and take it.
Oh, if this folds to Loco.
Oh.
Yeah, certainly a great shove spot and hand to wake up with, but I think Omaha for rolls has to call. Quickly does, yeah.
Snap calls. And this is Domination Nation, and it holds. Ace 9 KO'd, and we get the elimination of Loco Chopper in 7th place. Cashes for just shy of $42,000. Now we are six-handed at the final table of this $5,000 buy-in high roller event. SCOOP-77-H. Omaha for rolls. Laszlo Bustas.
Joe, are you cranking it early
million
these days?
No,
Like
no, I haven't cranked it. I mean, I did crank it a lot yesterday, so there could be some residual pent-up energy from that. I got sweaty cranking it yesterday.
Well, you passed out before the end of the stream.
Yeah, I was gone. I didn't even make it to the end. It was like Spock at the end of Wrath of Khan. Like I just faced all that radiation to
I know.
save the ship.
It was left to me to just stand there saying, of all the souls I've ever known, his was the most human.
That is true.
Well,
I was
enough,
hoping we could take a minute.
Has been ahead on every street.
Yeah.
What do we want to take a minute for, Joey?
To talk about the player of the series, we're closing things out today. Joe Stapleton in 1, 2, 3 in 5th place. So I could take down player. Marie and I have been running a 12-week leaderboard in our home game. And right now it's anybody's game towards the end here. A win for...
When you said, let's take a minute to talk about player of the series, I naively thought that we were sticking to Scoop. I mean, you know, that's naturally where my brain went.
No, player of the series. So the top, Michelle Skinner, Kim Caramelli, Matt Monica, Michael Berger, Joe Stapleton, Michael Sarah, Josh Molina, Maria Ho. Those are the top 8 right there.
Bert Stevens opening here with the Grafton hand.
I think Maria's drawing dead.
I am definitely drawing dead. And I won't be able to play tonight, so.
Right. That's mostly why I was saying it.
Well, Laszlo Bushtas has now taken the chip lead and opening again with King Queen.
Strong.
And interestingly, Dinge Brinker flats with Queen 9 and flops the heart draw. And King Queen High is still ahead.
Yeah, I can't blame Omaha for Rules for calling that flop, you know, definitely with the 2 overs and potentially backdoor straight draw. But Dinge Brinker just has so many outs that continuing here on the turn seems like a good bet.
So hard to get to showdown with King Queen High.
$180K raise from MB Tremendo. Is dominated here by Jack 8. Tremendo, second in chips behind Dinge Brinker, who's retaken the chip lead. It's pretty close at the moment between Tremendo, Omaha, and Dinge. And this is going to be a shame for P. Viger, especially as Tremendo just flatted with the kings. I think we know where P. Viger's chips are going. Sees dead money, sees an opportunity to squeeze all in, will get snapped.
Yes, but I mean, there's always an ace on the desk. These ace magnets stand no chance against ace 10 suited.
And here we go. P. Viger at risk and behind. Barry Greenstein does not make an appearance. And that is another bust out from this final table. P. Viger cashes in 6th place. $54,500. And we are down to the final 5. Tremendo. 5.7 million now.
Lol, Joker. Oh, no, wait. Hold on. The King's held, didn't it? Sorry.
Yeah.
I just had that ready to go.
4 eliminations in 30 minutes. Wow.
I mean, we did come in with some short stacks. Maybe didn't expect this many, but we expected at least 2, if not 3 eliminations in that first half hour.
What's weird? I always think it's weird when that doesn't happen. I'm like, there's only 9 people left. How long could this take? And then it's like 5 hours every day. And I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah. I love it when people don't really understand the structure and the stack depth of MTTs. And they'll go, oh, they're down to the last 2 players. It'll be over soon. I refer you to the PCA 2014 main event.
It just doesn't make any sense. Like on day 1, they lose something like 400 players. And then on the last day, it takes all day to lose 8.
Well, David Peters has a lock on this. Omaha for rolls is drawing dead.
There's always one other way to win. Making a straight on the river. I take it back. There is no other way to win. Not this time.
Well, I mean, Laszlo could try. I don't think the action's going to get checked to him. It does! Oh, you are a cheeky, track-suited man.
Yeah, definitely Deep Peters has a bluff catcher of sorts, though, because certainly Omaha for rolls can have some King X type holdings or King 9. But, you know, not going to fold to a pot size bet, just going to call.
Okay, so relatively even in terms of stacks right now. We've established that Tremendo has reclaimed the significant chip lead. Bert Stevens, Giraffe Gang, are officially 5th in chips, but not a short stack. And everyone now guaranteed nearly 71K. David Peters out flop this time. Top pair for Laszlo Bustas. $145,000 on the turn.
I know. Good call, Alex McMotor. Do you think Dingebrinker's super pissed right now because he would have had 2 pair?
Yeah,
I guess the 4 on the river makes it a little bit.
Pair.
Yeah.
Inspired fold with the 7 deuce is what I'm going to say.
Good fold.
And David Peters now with a decision whether to make a huge hero call on the river with 5s. Lets it go. King Jack completes in the small. Queen 7 in the big. Checks. Picks up the flush draw on the turn. Obviously, still ahead with King High. 9-1
Time
favorite.
to hammer it again.
Definitely some showdown value with that King High, but also having the flush draw is good enough for a bet there.
King 6 completes. Dingebrinker, Ace, Queen. Makes it 210,000.
Blinds are up. Let's do this.
We're now playing 35,000, 70,000. Wow, what an increase.
Now's when the real poker starts.
Honestly, these online levels. Queens and 10s for Omaha for rolls.
Next level is 36,000, 71,000.
You almost doubled 36 there, Joe.
Yeah.
You're forgetting about the antes. That's the beauty of it being online. It doesn't even have to be double. It could just be like whatever. It could be like 36,207, 74,851. Doesn't matter. It's made up.
And Ace Jack, still favorite. Does anyone have a spade? No one has a spade.
Dingebrinker just exercising some pot control on that flop, and again on the turn. Feels pretty good. Feels pretty good. That ace high might be good, but not anymore.
Not today.
In my mind, every time he hits a card, he goes, MB Tremendo!
And now he's got the snowmans.
Nom 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 nom.
Ocho! All right, different guy.
Calls Dingebrinker's raise. And is not outflopped. 8 still good.
Yeah, Dingebrinker here with 2 overs, but also recognizing that MB Tremendo called out of the small blind. So definitely a bit of a stronger range coming out of MB Tremendo than if it was a defend from the big.
Tremendo checks the turn. Dingebrinker checks behind and catches a jack on the river. These rivers today.
Yeah, I think Dingebrinker feels that MB Tremendo, if they had a hand like trip tens, would just lead the river. Some flush draws, of course, possible as well for MB Tremendo, but does go for value for about half pot here.
Gets called and takes the chip lead. 5.3 million now for Dingebrinker as Tremendo falls just below the 5 million mark. Well, this was call, raise, call. King Jack still good. Top pair for Bert Stevens. I wonder if Omaha for rolls will shut down now. Definitely should shut down. Loving this running commentary from Alex McMotor. 6-4 offsuit. My home game's meme hand. It must win. And by the time we get to the river, balls. Yeah, sorry, Alex.
Wow, did we just see Omaha for rolls pot that river and Giraffe Ganger folded? Did you guys see that?
I take it back, Alex. Put your balls away. 6-4 did win by bluffing the river. That's absurd. I never thought in a million years that would happen.
I mean, coming from a guy named Omaha for rolls, like just potting river with a complete air ball, that tracks.
Yeah, I mean, definitely Omaha for rolls can have, you know, some ace X's that they raise pre and then check back the turn. But that was a very quick fold by Giraffe.
Yeah. Bluffer Brand says, what just happened? How can you fold top boat there? But it wasn't top boat. There was an ace on board.
Plus, but still, like, good enough for it to maybe be given a little more consideration time-wise. But very surprising.
And now there are theories about whether the fold was a misclick.
I love a good theory.
Well, I think because it was so quick, the fold, right? It wasn't kind of consideration. Does my opponent have a better full house? It was literally just, no.
Yeah, I think that makes it less likely as a misclick because I feel like you don't have the type of hand where you would insta-call either. So I'm just going to go with Giraffe feeling like dynamic-wise, Omaha has to have it more often than not there.
Great minds think alike, Joe, because I have been wanting to sing that song every time the action is on that player as well.
Ah!
Not with those lyrics, though, I should say.
Do you have the lyrics?
It's unnecessary, Joe. Unnecessary.
I figure as long, but come up with one that doesn't use that. There aren't a lot of inge words. Okay, we could say fringe stinker.
There we go. Thank you. We have got trip sixes for Giraffe Ganger against 2 players with King 9.
That's why I wrote it in the chat instead of saying it out loud.
You still wrote it, and that means you thought it, and that means you're a bad boy.
Got the thought police over here.
Little stabby from Tremendo. It's not going to get
speaking of
through.
naughty.
Have some of that. A tremendo fold.
Standard. But tremendo by virtue
hand.
of the fact that a tremendo person did it.
Indeed. Eight, 6 versus Queen 10, and there is a 10 on the flop. Giraffe Ganger bets out. Omaha for rolls calls. Okay, now we have straight and flush possibilities for Giraffe Ganger. Fires again.
Definitely one of the best turn cards for Giraffe there to fire, and to fire pretty big bet size there. But of course, Queen 10 not going to be folding.
Joe's theory proved correct once again, as Giraffe Ganger Rivers are no good pair.
It's often a pair that makes the other person there straight too. Like in this case, it didn't happen. Just potting it again. Just potting it with second pair. No big deal. Someone did make a straight yesterday.
That is true.
For the record.
That is true. 2 blind v blind confrontations between Giraffe Ganger and Omaha for rolls. They have both gone in Laszlo Bujtas's favor.
Wait, the King Jack one? Laszlo ended up winning that one too?
Yeah.
Rude.
And a pair of 10s here for Dinge Brinker. Still holding on to the chip lead.
Which person would be the poor man's Sam Grafton? Because that's what we have to name 9-10 offsuit.
Oh, wow. I'm trying to think of a good answer to that isn't rude to someone.
Right?
I know. I feel like it'd be hard to not offend somebody.
But we've all got a name in mind.
Well, I'm just trying to think of someone who speaks loudly and incessantly, but doesn't have the poker skills.
Right.
Preferably bearded.
I feel like that's like 80% of poker players.
Or just someone who is like obnoxious in English and maybe does have the poker skills, but isn't quite as witty as Sam. Oh, I just thought of who it is, and I definitely can't say it.
King 10 versus Ace 8, and it's top 2 here for Laszlo.
Definitely put it in Skype. Staves.
Ah, full house now.
But my experience is that the louder somebody is, usually the less skilled in the game they are. So that's why I feel like it's applicable to quite a few poker players that I've run into in my day.
Yeah, it's not hard to come up with a name.
Ace-3 opens, and David Peters has 7s in the big blind. But we get the re-raise from the small blind, Dingebrinker with King 10. And that puts Peters in a tough spot. I guess you have to fold the 7s there.
Yeah, Dingebrinker really seeming to go after this under the gun open. Does work though.
But Stevens opening with Ace-10 suited. Laszlo Bushtas with 9s.
Hubert.
There's the re-raise. And let's see if Giraffe Ganger gets it in here. He does.
Quick
And
shove.
we're off to the races.
Club.
And 9s are holding, and 9s are good. Bybert. Giraffe Ganger out in 5th place. $70,844. And just like that, we're down to the final 4.
Yeah, I would say that today at least, Omaha for Rules has definitively gotten the better of Giraffe Ganger.
Yeah, 3 for 3 in their major clashes. And we have lost more than half this final table in the first session in 50 minutes of play. Omaha for Rolls, now chip leader with 6.7 million. Gunning for his 2nd title of Scoop 2021, his 4th Scoop overall.
Maybe we just play right through the break and wrap this up before dinner time.
Yeah, who's up next after me? Should we just call them off? Tell them to take the rest of the day? They're good.
I'm not sure you want to take that risk, but...
No, I can't, guys.
Yeah.
I can't do 100 big blind heads up battle like the last time.
Yeah. Also, no one loves it more than the unicorn. So we've got to give him his reps. I do find it hilarious that we've added another nickname. The guy's already got nicknames, right? Shaguar, Flush Entity, Check Your Privilege Guy. And now we've added another nickname. Oh, clubs.
As if we need more bloodshed at this final.
Well, David Peters is like, bring it on. I'll happily sit here and ladder up into 3rd place and guarantee myself more than 100K if you two want to kind of...
Oh, yeah, that ace-queen fold was a distant memory now for D. Peters being in 4th at this moment.
So I guess this is nice here on the river that you lose to ace, pair of aces instead of just ace high. Right? You're like, yeah, might as well just really get me.
I mean, and you're probably pretty thankful that the club didn't come.
Right. Yeah. When you see this later, for sure. Right now, you're like, come on.
So we are going on break. So we have lost 5 of the 9 finalists during the first session, but one of those players, C. Darwin 2, is still going strong in the medium version of event 77.
What?
So let's go across the arena and join the action in that one now. So this is a $530 buy-in, no limit hold'em event. And we find Simon Matson sandwiched between Klaus Segerbrecht, Sick One, and Jonathan Van Fleet, Ape Styles.
So cool. This guy's slumming it in the medium. How mad would you be if you like saved up all year to play the 530 medium, or you satellited in for $30 and you're like Duca CGL or Conisha, who's got Sick One, C Darwin, and Ape Styles, all three to your left.
Yeah, I mean, look, we talk about a medium buy-in. $530 is still considered to be high stakes online, so no real surprise to see these guys going deep in this one. 59 players remaining as we join the action. Sick One all in with deuces. The reshove from Simon Matson with sixes, and Jonathan Van Fleet, Ape Styles, has nines. And that is going to be the elimination of Sick One. C. Darwin wins the small side pot, but that is near enough a triple up for Ape Styles.
Surprised no suck out.
We've got
Nom 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 nom.
for Peter Trapley, Belabaski.
Maybe that's why Kanisha's just sitting out. Like, you know what? This is a tough table. I'm just going to wait for the redraw. Let me wait for the redraw.
Good. Yeah, I'm fine. Thanks. It's online. The redraw will happen any second now.
Good question from Unknown Datum. Is the field metric out of entries or entrants? It's total entries. 1,504 made up of 1,048 unique players and 456 re-entries. But generally speaking, we track entries in MTTs rather than uniques.
You're so lucky James got to that question before I did.
Oh.
Hey-oo.
Run better, Ape Styles.
You say that, but there's still a chance an 8 could hit the river. And by a chance, I mean 1.8%.
Yeah, I think with all of this action in front of Jonathan, a fast play will be in order. You definitely don't want people to get there with the club, potentially some gut shots out there as well.
What to do with the flush draw? Folds. Eights fold as well. Ape Styles up to 1.6 million now. And we have an all-in from Peter Trapley. Belabaski is shoved with ace queen.
Not very Trapley, is it? Hello?
This is the longest tank with 8-4 I've ever seen.
Went to break early.
Well, I tell you what's coming back from break, and that is the high version of Event 77, the 5K high roller. And yes, 5 players have fallen. 4 remain. We are deep stacked though, 68 big blind average. The chip leader has 90 bigs, just ahead of Omaha for Rolls with 88 bigs, 62 big blinds for Mario Bonanata. David Peters, the shortest stack with 33 bigs. Let's give Joe a break from the booth. While you're gone, Joe, please don't crank it. We don't need any more coolers right now. Maria, we're back in action, 35-70 blinds, and we have Dingebrinker opening here with ace-5. Jack 7 defend. And the hand is over. I was going to ask you Scooby's question, but I see you've already replied to him in written form.
Yes, I noticed. I do sometimes travel outside of the States to play the PokerStars series, but not this one. This one I'm going to sit on the sidelines and watch these heroes go after it.
King, Queen opening on the button, but kings for D. Peters in the big.
Yeah, and you could go two ways. You know, certainly sometimes trapping could turn out to be very profitable, but off of a shorter stack size, you might be able to just somehow find a way to get it in pre and cooler somebody. So understandable that D. Peters elects to 3-bet here and does get the call from King Queen.
And it is an ace high flop. Always an ace on the desk, especially when you have kings. It is actually a gut shot straight draw for Omaha for rolls. David Peters not to know he's a 4-1 favorite.
Yeah, and Omaha for rolls also having that king of hearts in their hand. Certainly going to find a way to continue. Goes for really small sizing here, though. You know, it would be so nice if the small sizing could just bet and take it, but I think D. Peters is planning to check call one and decide on future streets.
King's still good, and David Peters now 8-9-1 favorite. Uncle Yaps says Glazer's out. I mean, I'm not sure Benny Glazer played this event, but if he did, he is definitely out because he's not at this final table. And double paired board now. And David Peters is just over pot behind, checks it to Laszlo.
Yeah, with this river, certainly just a bluff catcher for D. Peters. And Omaha for rolls, maybe. Just trying to rep, you know, maybe Jack 10 suited type hands, Queen 10 suited, King 10 suited, those type of hands that could potentially call a 3-bet pre, bet flop, check turn. Obviously, I don't think that ace-X's are in Omaha's wheelhouse here for this sizing. But certainly some portion of Omaha for rolls pre-flop calling range to a 3-bet consists of these 10x hands and does get D. Peters to fold.
Folds the kings. And David Peters now hovering around the 20 big blind mark after that phenomenal bluff from Omaha for rolls, who's now tied for the chip lead with Dingebrinker.
I like the street flash callback in the chat. That was a bit of flash. That was streets.
Now
flash.
But now that we've cracked the code, Maria, now we realize that what was trying to be said was straight flush. I think we have to reserve street flash for situations where a straight flush is possible. Okay, let's try it, Maria. That was a chop pot. You know what they say. Everyone loves a chop pot. Now, I genuinely heard the effort there. I know that Joe's been giving you a lot of...
I know, and I don't know why. I don't know why Joe decided to take that up now. I feel like I've always tried really hard, and I certainly don't see any less effort on my part. But maybe I offended Joe in some way. Maybe I just bad beat him one too many times in our home game. I'm not sure what it is, but he has it out for me.
Oh, potentially another one.
Queen of Hearts. Pretty key card to hold here for MB Tremendo, and does give enough license to bluff this river. Obviously, Queen 10 gets there, certainly can have some flushes as well.
No chop pot. Boom. And now Queen 9 versus Queen 8. James or Maria, do you support a football team? Yes, I support the San Francisco 49ers and have done since the mid-1980s. Thank you for your question. And Omaha for rolls did need to get there, of course. Dinge Brinker had taken the lead with the 8, but does get there. Diamond flush.
Yeah, and with 10-9 getting there as well on the river, I think it would be very thin for Dinge to try to go for value here, but does. Course. Street flash possible here.
That was a street flash board for sure. So Omaha for rolls putting a little bit of distance between himself and Dinge Brinker. Start of day chip leader, MB Tremendo. Mario Bonanata from Uruguay opens with 9-8. Pocket fives flatten the small. Don says, James, people with your lovely accent usually have a different football in mind. Yeah, I know.
Dinge Brinker putting out a bit of a protection bet for those fives after it gets checked on the flop, but counterfeited on the river.
What a tremendo river for MB. Although, if Dinge Brinker, I was going to say, turns the hand into a bluff, not sure you can call here with 9 high.
No, certainly ace high, maybe a little bit to consider, but of course, you know, Dinge Brinker can certainly have a lot of Jack X type holdings, calling from the small blind and betting on the turn. So gonna definitely get away with that one against 9-8.
I love this, the irony in this sentence. The 49ers are an American football team, but not a football team. No offense, but the US can soccer up their rears. Spelling offense the American way. King 10 versus 10-6. The domination continues for D. Peters.
Yeah, pretty easy to see bet in this spot because I think D. Peters knows that against that 20 big effective stack that any decent ace X's from Omaha for rolls would have gone all in pre.
King Queen opening, 3s on the button. I tell you what, Laszlo ain't messing about. Has he got a plane to catch or something?
Yeah, taking an aggressive route here with the threes. MB Tremendo, though, realizes that maybe Omaha for Rolls has been getting a little out of line, being very overactive since coming into that chip lead.
Nom, 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 nom.
And 8's still good on a Queen 7-3 flop. I know this comes up in conversation at least like twice every online series we stream, but all these people who get their knickers in a twist about the use of the word soccer, are you writing letters of complaint to Sky Sports about Soccer AM and Soccer Saturday? You have such an issue with it. Take it up with the UK's biggest broadcaster of the sport. Kings and 7s for Dingebrinker. And the gut shot for Omaha for Rolls, who is firing.
Yeah, I don't think this line is going to work. You really can't fault them. There's a lot of ways, you know, that you can win this pot without having to hit your gut shot if you lead here and get a fold. But now at this point, with that backdoor flush coming in as well and having that 10, you know, sometimes maybe trying to rep that Jack 10. Quick call, though, from the 2 pair.
I'm receiving breaking news from the medium version of Event 77. We dropped by during the break and we saw C. Darwin in action. We did see him lose a significant pot. And I can tell you that Simon Matson, C. Darwin 2, is just busted in 54th place from that $530 buy-in event. And I can't help but notice, Maria, that David Peters is just getting shorter and shorter. Not physically, I'm talking about his chip stack.
What do you think is a more appropriate name for American football, though? Because it's very clear to me that soccer is football. What should American football be called?
I generally refer to it because I don't follow college football, for example, so I always refer to it as NFL because I think that's the sport that I follow.
But what name would you give it if...
I mean, it's known as
what name would you give it if you want to... Right. But if you wanted to describe it to somebody who's never played it before about like maybe just the most important element of how the game is played, like football makes great sense for soccer because you're kicking the ball a lot. Would it be like pass and catch? I mean, throw
no, because it's still a game played with a football, right? Just like rugby is. It's rugby football. I mean, gridiron is another nickname for it. I mean, I generally use the brand NFL to describe the sport if I say what I'm interested in, just to avoid that confusion of people thinking that I might be interested in soccer. 40,000, 80,000 blinds now, still four-handed. D. Peters getting short, has 7s here in the big blind. Wow. Guaranteed we're going to hear from at least one of these players. Ace-3, King-Jack.
Yeah, I see the squeeze coming here from D. Peters a mile away, just not going to pick up a better spot. Good hands to go with. If you get called, you're likely going to be up against 2 overs and you'll be flipping. And I don't think MB Tremendo can call, but I certainly think that Omaha for Rolls for this shove could call off with the king jack of hearts. Not before throwing a horseshoe and tissues.
Which is it going to be, the horseshoe or the tissues? Jack on the turn, and then the king on the river. Definitely tissues needed for David Peters as he exits in 4th place. $92,000 and change. And Laszlo Bushtas now, once again, tied with Dingebrinker for the chip lead. $7.5 million for each of those players. MB Tremendo on $4 million as we go three-handed already. Six eliminations in 70 minutes, Maria.
Yeah, and now, you know, definitely deep enough three-handed and no talks of deal, of course. Big pay jumps up ahead, so things will be slowing down, I think. But, you know, Joe's not here, so he could definitely be cranking it in the background.
And it seems that King High is still the best hand. I'm going to finish this argument, then we're going to move on.
It's okay. I'll watch the table, James. You just fiercely type away.
Thank you.
Both ace high and king high on this board will have some showdown value, but now Omaha for rolls coming out in the lead, turning that king.
Just a full house. Oh, good. We get to move on. Delphal says, OMG, is your voice, James, in those PokerStars special videos for your winning? That's right. Everyone who has a big win on PokerStars gets a bespoke video made by myself and Joe Stapleton. We record about 300 a day. Hope you enjoyed yours.
Seems like a lot is going.
I was just pointing out that Omaha for Rolls is now really starting to pull away.
Yeah, and certainly a lot has gone Omaha for Rolls' way. We saw, you know, the bluff working against Giraffe. We see, you know, winning flips, which we know is crucial and very important at this stage in a tournament. And just running well overall and not afraid to be aggressive in the right situations.
Trip jacks here for Dingebrinker. And things not looking so tremendo for MB, drawing dead on the turn.
Yeah, and MB, pretty quick call for that big oversized bet on the turn by Dingebrinker. Just feeling like King High could be good also has what they thought was some added equity of a Broadway draw, but that would have given Dinge a full house, obviously.
Oh man, T Gould 80 says, I got one, James, but there was an error in the commentary. You called a flush that wasn't there. You have to record so many. I understand, bro. Thank you for understanding. I remember recording yours. That was a tough day. I mean, I say on average it's 300. That day, I think we had to record close to 500 or 600. So apologies if, yeah, we were rattling through the last few and maybe a few mistakes crept in. I mean, if we have a live stream that day, we really have to kind of just get through them quick. Oh, domination rotation.
Both players pretty eager to get to showdown here.
And Tremendo getting on the short side. This is kind of what happened to David Peters. Just kind of like chipped away at. Suddenly you find yourself in that 15 big blind zone. Next thing you know, 10 big blinds. Next thing you know, you're all in, and then you just got to run good against Omaha for rolls, and good luck with that.
Next thing, you just get ace-king and you flat and make it top pair.
I'm really surprised by that. And you look, I hope it works out for Tremendo. Dinge Brinker is not drawing dead here.
Yeah. I mean, maybe Tremendo thought that there was a chance they could get a squeeze out of Omaha for rolls when they just flat the small blind, maybe thinking that they could then shove. And of course, this slow play so far working out in Tremendo's favor.
Well, a 7 is not coming this time. Instead, a queen on the river. Tremendo's still good. And
yeah, and Dinge
well
Brinker,
does Dinge Brinker know his opponent well enough not to bluff that river, Maria.
yeah. And I wouldn't have blamed Dinge Brinker for going for it, obviously showing up at the river with the bottom of their range, essentially. But just gave Tremendo credit for having a lot of ace-X's there, calling from the small. Certainly not as big of a hand as ace-king, of course.
Well, Dinge Brinker had the lead on the flop. The ace on the turn gives Tremendo the win. Now kings for Omaha for rolls. Called by 6-5. Top set, bottom pair, 0.1% equity for MB. Calls the bet, now drawing dead on the turn. I mean,
yeah,
I'm a fan. MB is not playing conventionally at all, but I'm enjoying it. I like it when people are a little bit out there, and it sometimes throws the pros off their game.
Yeah, certainly does seem like it's a little bit harder to maybe put Tremendo on certain hands and ranges, which of course can certainly work to their favor.
Raising the button with Jack 10, 9-4 in the big for Dinge Brinker. That's a fold. And now 7s versus Queen 3, small versus big. You see, I made the mistake earlier on of referencing that epic heads-up battle from PCA 2014, Mike McDonald versus Dominic Panker. And the way things are going, that's what we're headed for, right? Tremendo, Bus in third, and then it's like 10 million chips stacks for these two, and they're still going at midnight.
Yep. And you know who gets all of the fun other than you and Joe? Griffin.
That's true. The unicorn will be loving it. I mean, from MB's perspective, just wants these guys to play big pots.
Yeah, and one double up Tremendo's way, obviously, and they would definitely be in contention. So no real reason to get unnecessarily involved as Tremendo. Certainly going to play solid pre-flop, I think, should be the game strategy at this point.
Just utterly fearless and just uber aggressive. Queen high was the best hand there, but clearly that raise was a bluff. But one Omaha rolls the pot, now playing a stack of 9 million. And I know people like to know where players are in the world. Now we're down to the final three. We do have MB Tremendo, Mario Bonanata from Uruguay, Dingebrinker plays from Estonia, and Omaha for rolls. Laszlo Bujtas is in Hungary. And Omaha for rolls wins another pot, closing in on the 10 million mark now.
Huge flop here for Dingebrinker, but MB going to bet, feeling like they have that range advantage, feeling like they have that gut shot, straight draw.
Two pair for Dingebrinker, which is good. And an overbet gets a fold. Ace Queen versus Ace 4. No. Interesting. Jack 10, Queen Jack. The nation is domination, but we're not going to go to the flop. It seems that deuces sometimes loses.
Yeah, I think seeing that check back from Tremendo on the flop, I think leading here when the 7 pairs would be a good play from Dinge. Hopefully looks a little bit suspicious. Might get a call from some of these weak hands.
Crunchy Apple asks, who's Dingebrinker then? We don't know, is the answer. Not every single online player is necessarily happy to share their true identity. And I tell you what, MB Tremendo is now getting shorter and shorter, has dropped below the 20 big blind mark. Meanwhile, Snowman's for Omaha for rolls, and that is a set against top pair.
Yeah, Dinge definitely going to lose some chips here, depending on the run outs. But of course, seeing that Tremendo is just getting shorter and shorter, certainly not going to be bloating this type of hand in this scenario.
Million from Omaha for rolls.
Yeah, again, can't fold, but not going to raise, of course.
Checked to Omaha for rolls, who overbet pot on the turn. It's now looking at 2.8 million in the middle.
Yeah, King Jack just too strong, and there are quite a few missed draws from that flop. You know, of course, your opponent can have Queen 10 type holdings, 10-9, of course.
Oh, wow, bets full pot. Bets full pot. No, don't be a hero, Dingebrinker. Do not be a hero.
Yeah, just in an incredibly tough spot. You know, of course, your opponents will show up here with overpairs, sometimes sets. But yeah, again, King Jack, just too good. I think just given the dynamic and how aggressive Omaha for rolls has been, King Jack's just too good. You can't really blame them for looking him up.
I guess not. Well, look at the chip lead that Laszlo has now. 14 million at the start of this hand. Dingebrinker down to 4 million. And then we got the short stack of MB Tremendo, who's facing a raise. 10-9. Has paired his 9 on the flop, top pair.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Tremendo, if faced with a bet on the flop, go for a check raise. But now I think would be tough to get a whole lot of value.
E6 versus 10-4, and it's a 10 high flop. Ace on the turn. Neither player has a diamond draw. So Tremendo back up to 2 million. I mean, the way that Laszlo Bustos has played this final table, Maria, and obviously I know a lot's gone his way, right? He's been dealt good hands. He's running well, but just seems to just want to get this done with. It's almost like, right, come on.
Yeah.
Knock you guys out.
Yeah.
Claim that 200K. Claim my second title of Scoop 2021. Next.
And of course, you know, Omaha for rolls has been playing really well, but things have gone their way. And this might be one of the easiest final tables that they've ever played for a Scoop title. Just really seamless, not a lot of resistance, not any tough spots.
Yeah. Dingebrinker opening on the button with ace-9 of diamonds. And ace high, still the best hand. Anyone want to bet? Do you know what? I was literally about to ask, do you think it's going to be the king or the six on the river? But I just thought, that's just ridiculous. It's not going to happen. It happened.
Does seem right. Does seem par for the course at this point for Omaha for rolls. Thinking that they had some showdown value to now betting for value.
Ace high, no good. Throw it away. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe at this point, Dinge and Tremendo have conceded. They're just like, you know, who's going to finish in second? That's what I'm here for now, because...
Yeah. It's like, okay, I'm not going to win a scoop today. 155 grand. That's pretty good. I'll take it. Well, pair of fours are good. And ace queen heroed and was wrong. Still at the 40-80 blind level, going up to 50,000, 100,000 in 8 minutes. That's assuming that Omaha for rolls hasn't busted the two other players in the next 8 minutes. Ace queen.
Yeah, Gingerbrinker going to come along with that Jack 10 of hearts. I don't know. We might see a three-way family pot here. Just okay. Bad timing to squeeze there by Tremendo.
That move was not tremendo. Not tremendo at all.
Yeah, and sometimes, you know, the timing is going to work for you to make a play like that against the chip leader, who is certainly extremely active, but it's also just chips that really can't go to waste. You know, if you are 3-betting 6 or 7 bigs, it's very tough off of your stack size to get much going.
Of course 5 deuce is the best hand here. Of course it is. Near enough 15 million. Should point out that MB Tremendo is getting really short now. And goes to the flop with Queen 3. Does not connect. King high still good. Ace on the turn changes nothing. Oh. King high wins the pot. Omaha for rolls. With the straight draw and the pair of sevens, I mean...
Yeah. And of course,
No, not the 9.
yeah, making a straight, and Tremendo has just enough to make the call.
And pays off the river bet. Tremendo now playing 10 big blinds.
Yeah, and if you thought that Dinge Brinker was probably thinking about shutting it down, definitely going to shut it down a lot now. Just going to wait for Tremendo to bust with, you know, over a $35,000 difference between third and second. You see exercising that pot control on the flop, even with 7s and deuces, and gonna call, but never, never going for value, but never gonna show up with the winning hand when you're up against Omaha for rolls today.
This final table's getting a little bit silly.
I feel like today, after this, Omaha for Rolls needs to go out, buy some lottery tickets. Like, I don't know, keep using that run good that is clearly on your side today. The universe is in your favor.
And just folds his button in a situation where there's queens in the small blind and Dinge Brinker putting the pressure on Tremendo, who calls for not an insignificant percentage of his stack. And
Tremendo with some equity here.
I mean, now improves to an open-ender, but Marie, you can't just keep calling off these percentages of your chips when you're that low.
Yeah, it really sucks to be in a situation where you have less than pot here on the turn, but actually improved in some way.
All in with ace-9. Called by king-7, so short, gets the call.
Oh.
9 on the turn, and that is going to be a double up for Tremendo, back up to $1 million.
I think Tremendo was just as shocked as we were that that hand held.
So why couldn't I have kings the previous hand? A walk. And another premium starting hand for Omaha for rolls. Oh, wow. Top pair versus second pair. The setups continue. I'm convinced that Joe has been cranking furiously during his break.
I'm just surprised that Brinker and Tremendo have not been throwing endless horseshoes Omaha's way.
Yeah.
Pot size bet here. Tough spot for Dinge. You know, has second pair, has that straight draw. Ooh.
Oh, finally. Finally. Someone else gets lucky on the river.
Might not even be able to bet it. I mean, certainly if they feel like Omaha for Rolls has some King X type hands as traps, and looking at MB Tremendo there off of that 10 big blind stack, what would you do if you went for value here and got raised, but does end up still going for it? But that would be sick, you know, if you bet there, you're like, I mean, I got to go for value, and then you get check raised. What's a guy to do? What's a gal to do?
Blinds have gone up to 50, 100,000. Oh, ace queen versus ace jack. Another double up spot for Tremendo. Domination nation. Queen high flop. Oh, a little bit of danger on the turn, but a safe river. And Tremendo Doubles up again. 14 big blinds. Jack 10 suited on the button. Ace 4 off. Ace 9 in the big blind. All in. No call this time.
Definitely some breathing room for Tremendo, but getting set up.
Queens and
Wow.
fives. Heart draw, though, for Tremendo. Does not get there on the river.
Was there ever a doubt that Tremendo would brick against Omaha for rolls?
You hero and you're out. So back to 10 big blinds for MB Tremendo. All in with ace 8. Gets 2 folds. Well, look. We've got Omaha for rolls opening with king 8, 10, 7 calls. And of course the flop goes Laszlo's way. Oh, now a 10 for Tremendo.
Really interesting turn here. Omaha for rolls just has a lot of outs to make the nuts here.
To answer Paulo's question, Tremendo is Mario Bonanata from Uruguay, and it's all in to call for MB. Does not call. Maria, I have a bone to pick with Mr. Stapleton. I told him to leave the cooler machine alone. There is no doubt in my mind, Joe, that you have been cranking it.
Yeah, I know. I hurt my wrist. I was... Not only was I cranking it, but I was thinking about Omaha while I was doing it. Omaha for rolls. It was just in my mind the entire time. And now I feel like I've injured something. Usually I just get like a friction burn, but this time I think I sprained it.
Well, the cooler machine now needs to cool down because this is just getting a little bit silly.
You gonna file for some workers' comp on that injury?
Yes. Joe, yeah, I'm taking the day off tomorrow.
Joe, I will allow it.
Yeah. Okay, great.
King, queen on the button. Eight, 7 flops best.
Omaha. 4 rolls. 4 days, really. Yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah.
Throw a draw out there too.
Certainly steamrolling. Just, you know, when you have that big of a chip lead on your opponents and you know they're just trying to outlast each other for that pay jump, you can abuse them as much as you want, but when you're hitting flops, then it's an easy game because you're not sitting there hoping they fold. You're sitting there hoping they'll call.
Ooh, baby. Oh, baby.
What a time to have someone shove on
hand.
And that is going to be another double up for MB Tremendo, who is no longer the shortest stack. Dinge Brinker down to 15 bigs.
Really on the brink of Dinge right now.
The battle for second place continues between Dingebrinker and Mario Bonanata.
Could very easily end up a singed binker.
King Jack for MB in the small.
That sucks. You have to limp King Jack just so you don't lose $50,000.
And get outflopped. Domination rotation in Omaha for Rolls' favor.
Just not even think about folding bottom pair. Like, no shot. Absolutely no chance. All in.
Nom 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 nom.
The Snowmen's shove on Dingebrinker, who folds the 9-8.
Do you think Laszlo's at home just like this? Like, that's what I would be doing in that spot. Just absolutely cackling like a villain.
Think he's having the time of his life. The way he's playing, I think he's absolutely loving it right now.
Yeah, I haven't seen his other Scoop title final tables, but I feel like this has to be the easiest Scoop title he's won yet.
Okay, A6 versus deuces.
Come
It's
on.
not the most conventional of coin flips, but that's what's going to go on here.
Throw the ball. There it is.
Here we go. And deuces are good. That is the elimination of Dingebrinker as we go heads up in this 5K. Dingebrinker cashing out for nearly $120,000. Significant chip advantage for Omaha for Rolls.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want to count Tremendo out, but I just feel like this is a perfect final table going Omaha for Rolls' way so far. It'd be really tough for that momentum to, for that momentum to swing the other way. It would have to go very far and very fast.
Okay, club draw now for MB. Omaha for Rolls still ahead right now with a pair of fives bets. It's a brick river. Omaha for Rolls has a lock on this.
If Omaha can't wrap this tournament up before the break, though, I think MB is like the moral victor.
Well, the break is imminent, and MB Tremendo has dropped below 20 bigs again. And this is what's going to be the state of play now. It's going to be open shoving so much of the time.
MB says for make the break. That's it. Make the break would be Tremendo.
Okay, 8-7, still ahead. You knew there was no way Tremendo was going to win this pot outright. It's a chop pot, and you know what they say? Everyone loves a chop pot.
I'm going to call it and say that was good. I thought my timing was as good as it could be, considering I don't know what the delay really is. I'm guesstimating.
Yeah, we're just guessing. I could tell you were actually trying that time for a change.
Let it go, Joseph.
You know what it is? It's like, you know, you have a kid, right? You know your kid's potential, and they're not quite living up to it. That's how I feel about Maria. It's tough love. Oh, here we go. Oh, man.
He has made the break with a 15 big blind stack. So this heads-up battle will continue in 5 minutes' time. During that 5-minute break, we are going to talk about the players who have made this final table. Let's start with Mario Bonanata. There he is.
Fighter.
Few decent scores in his online career. 4th place finish in a 5K Scoop event in 2019. Runner-up in a 10K during WCOOP. But the player who has dominated this final table is a player we saw win an event earlier this series. It is Laszlo Bustas. Omaha for Rolls. 3 Scoop titles, one of them from just about a week ago. A 10K for more than $250,000. As we move through the Scoop Hall of Fame here inside the PokerStars Arena, main event champions, former players of the series, populate this room. And of course, the main event is coming, ladies and gentlemen. That's how we're going to close out Scoop 2021. That main event starting this weekend, 10K buy-in. We'll have the bubble on Monday. We'll have the PLO main event on Tuesday, and then we'll watch the No Limit Hold'em version play down to a final table on Tuesday, and then we'll crown our Scoop main event champion on Wednesday. Kind of feel that's what we're working towards now, Maria. We've had a lot of fun with these high roller events, and we've got another one on Saturday with a 5K PKO, and then Scoop reaches its crescendo, if you like, with that 10K main. Should be a lot of fun, those final 3 days of the series.
Yeah, and definitely so far, everything I've seen from this Scoop has not been a disappointment whatsoever. We've seen all of the usual heroes that you expect continue to dominate these fields. And of course, there's just been a lot of these, momentum type final tables where one player just seems to get on a roll. And it's kind of fun to watch somebody steamroll their way.
Yeah, I mean, we say every time, Joe, every final table has its own dynamic, right? I can't remember the last time I saw one like this. This is borderline ridiculous.
Yeah, we have seen pretty much every combination and permutation of the way a final table can unfold up until this point during Scoop. And we've seen some relatively quick ones, but this one really takes the cake and does it quite quickly. Like a cartoon swiping of a cake is how fast this final table is going. And you know what? It's our Friday, it's their Friday, right? And I've suspected last Thursday, when things went a little quick, I was like, maybe everyone's just excited for a day off tomorrow. And I think that might play just a little bit into it, right? I don't think anyone's playing recklessly, but I think that the players are also looking forward to having a bit of a night.
They're trying to get out of the office early. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, Maria, I don't want to overstate the point, but it isn't over yet. And of course, what would almost create the perfect narrative to the ludicrousness of this event is if somehow MB can make some epic comeback, take the chip lead, close this out to win his first Scoop.
Well, I will say what MB does have working in his favor is the fact that we have seen some plays that are a little bit unorthodox, a little bit unconventional, and that can definitely throw off any opponent, even one that is running as well, one that has such a dominant chip lead. So I think if they could get something going, they could definitely be in contention.
Yeah. Of course, for Laszlo, this would be his 4th Scoop, should he manage to close this out. His 2nd win of this series. And let's just see how sizable his advantage is right now. 177 big blinds, plays 15 big blinds. Yeah. The cackle says it all, and of course a significant difference in the prize money between 2nd and 1st. But I guess to a certain degree Mario's already winning, right? Managed to ladder up from 3rd to 2nd, won the battle for 2nd place against Dingebrinker. As we resume the action, the blinds are still 50 and 100,000. I don't know if we'll get to the next blind level, but there's still another 20 minutes on this level.
Tremendo can, I say just throw up the Hail Mary, ask for a deal.
All in with King 9, Queen 3 for MB. Oh, calls it off!
Ah!
And King on the turn means it's over. The inconsequential 3 on the river, and we have our winner. 2 hands back from break, and this heads-up battle concludes with a win for Omaha for Rolls. Oh, wow. That is Laszlo's second win of Scoop 2021. It is his 4th Spring Championship of online poker title, plus another 200k plus score, 155 grand for Mario Bonanata. Joe, your theory was clearly correct. Just wanted to get this done with, wants to take the day off tomorrow, and that is the thing to say. We are all going to get a day off tomorrow. Maria, I know you had to work the last 2 Fridays, but we're not doing any final table replays this week. We all get a day off. And that means, ladies and gentlemen, that we are going to be back with our next stream on Saturday. Would you like to see what's on the agenda? He's nodding furiously. I'll take that as a yes. It is another high roller. It is another 5k buy-in. The only difference between Saturday and today is that it's a progressive knockout. There are bounties involved. That PKO high roller starts tonight. It'll play down to a winner on Saturday. It will be day 18 of Scoop, and we will be here for it. Maybe we'll have the unicorn as well. He got a night off tonight. $1 million in the prize pool. Saturday, April 24th. That's when we're back at the usual time. But for now, from Maria Ho, Joe Stapleton, and me, James Hartigan, it is good night from the PokerStars Arena.